Councilor Baker.
Here.
Councilor Siomo. Councilor Flaherty.
Here.
Councilor Jackson.
Here.
Councilor LaMartina.
Here.
Councilor Linehan.
Here.
Councilor McCarthy.
Here.
Councilor Murphy. Councilor O'Malley. Councilor Presley. Councilor Wu. Councilor Yancey. And Councilor Zachem. Mr. President, everyone.
I've been informed by the clerk that a quorum is present. I would ask at this time for all councilors and guests to please rise. I have the honor to introduce Councilor McCarthy to the podium to introduce today's clergy, Deacon Vinnie Leo. Councilor McCarthy, after the invocation is delivered, I would ask that everybody remain standing as we recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I brought somebody that we all know very well. Vinnie Leo worked in the Public Works Department for over 41 years as the Chief Engineer of Public Works Improvement Commission. He retired from the City of Boston 3 years ago. He was ordained a permanent deacon by Cardinal Sean O'Malley on July 17th of 2011. Clearly known as one of the most professional guys in the building, and he always smells good. So it's just something about that. I don't know what it is. He's a wonderful man. He's a very dear friend. Please welcome Deacon Leo.
Thank you, Counselor. I have such fond memories of this chamber. Some good, some really not too good. But it's really wonderful to be here. It's truly an honor to be here. There are a lot of friendly faces that I know and a lot of new faces, and I wish everybody well. I feel like I'm under tremendous pressure. My wife is also here today, watching over me, Vivian. So without further ado, as Tim said, I go by the name Jim Leo. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Deacon Jim Leo, and I'm truly honored to be here, Mr. President and Councilor McCarthy. And let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, this afternoon we ask for your blessings upon all who serve our community here in the city of Boston, that they use their resources wisely and well, and respect all citizens of Boston, and make decisions that promote common good. We ask that you help them recognize their responsibility to the past and to the future, and the rights and needs of both individuals and the community of Boston. And as trusted servants of the city of Boston, dear God, we ask for your blessings upon all of their deliberations and efforts as they move forward during this year of 2014. And may God bless us all.
Amen. Please remain standing as Councilor McCarthy leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the Republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible. Councilor McCarthy will escort Deacon Leo from the chamber at this time. At this time, I'd like to invite Councilor Ayanna Presley to come forward for a presentation. Councilor Presley.
Thank you, Council President. Good afternoon, everyone. I thought it appropriate in that this is Black History Month, and as we begin to transition into Women's History Month, to pay tribute to and honor an organization, United Sisters of Color, a service oriented, and community building organization. And I want to begin by sharing a quote from one of my sheroes, Shirley Chisholm, who said, "You don't make progress by standing on the sidelines, whimpering and complaining. You make progress by implementing ideas." The women of United Sisters of Color, the founders of this transformative collective of women who have come together to promote social justice, provide services to youth and families in need, to support our communities, and to foster positive relationships between members as they serve, did just that. They had an idea and they implemented. They saw a need and they stood in the gap. They didn't wait for a green light. They didn't wait for a grant. They just got to work. And they harnessed the most valuable capital of all, and that is our human capital. Their mission to bring together women of color through service resulted in a number of successful community building campaigns, including Fill Your Fridge, Operation Backpack, the Run for Mary 5K benefit run, and the annual Operation Prom Dress and Tuxedo Drive, which I am proud to be partnering with them on again this year, along with Eastern Bank. I want to take a moment in particular to talk about Operation Prom Dress and Tuxedo Drive. I know there are much bigger issues that we could be working on together, and in fact, we do, to combat, to eradicate, to reduce the impact of the many social ills that face us. Just yesterday, many of us stood in solidarity with ladies involved in putting a stop to inner-city killing, recognizing the role that our young women are playing in trafficking guns. There is unrest in our streets, families who are struggling, and young people who are burdened with adult burdens and responsibilities. And that's why we think it's very important that these young people have an opportunity to be young people, to experience the milestone that is prom, and that costs never prohibit them from celebrating that milestone. I am honored to present Angela, Angel, Desiree, Stephanie, and Felicia, if you'll join me at the podium, with this citation recognizing their invaluable contributions to the City of Boston as we kick off this year's formal wear donations drive to help ensure that no Boston teen is denied the opportunity to attend his or her prom because of financial hardships. Please join me in thanking the United Sisters of Color for all of their hard work and for their role and many contributions in serving our community and the City of Boston.
I didn't realize I had to say anything, so I apologize for not being prepared. But I just want to say thank you to Ayanna, who has always been a supporter of our organization and the things and efforts that we have put forth. This organization was something me and Angela, we're the co-founders, put together within about 6 weeks initially. We just had an idea that we wanted to serve our community and we wanted to build sisterhood. And here we are going in our third year. We've helped hundreds of families, hundreds of children in our community, and we hope to make that thousands one day and continue the success that we've had. I thank you all for your time and for being here, and we appreciate it.
Thanks. So we just have a brief announcement, and then
Yes.
if everyone would join us at the podium for a picture. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So we're collecting new and gently used gowns, suits, tuxedos, shirts, dress shirts, and ties, all of which must be dry cleaned prior to drop off, as well as shoes and accessories through April 21st at Ayanna's office in City Hall or at Eastern Bank at 1906 Dorchester Ave. Donations will be collected at various branch libraries throughout March and April. Check out United Sisters of Color on Facebook for more details. So all of the details of the donation days will be located at Facebook.com/United Sisters of Color. We have an upcoming donation day at Mattapan Library on March 8th from 2 to 4 p.m. And also you can drop off donations at Ayana's office and at Eastern Bank in Dorchester. And again, this effort is to help the young people in our community attend their prom. Not everything that they receive costs nothing. So we have done this. This is our third year. Last year we helped about 200 students, and this year we hope to get to maybe 300, and including about 100 to 150 boys. So
And I know y'all have some suits that you can't fit anymore.
that's right.
So please
That's right.
do donate them.
Please, thank you.
I say that in love. I do
Yes.
too. Okay, would everyone please join us at the podium for a picture? All right.
Move right up.
Okay. Exactly, because of weight loss, not weight gain. Okay, so do you guys want to like the founders? You guys want to Okay.
Thank you. All right, thank you. Thank you.
Oh, today. Yeah, I didn't want to forget that quote. Thank you, Mr. President.
Yep, thank you, Councilor. Thank you, Councilor Presley, for that important presentation, and the sisters for the work that they do in our city. At this time, Madam Clerk, approval of the minutes. Yep. If there are no corrections to be made, the minutes of last week's meeting will stand approved. Seeing here no objections, the minutes are so approved. At this time, Madam Clerk, at the request of Councilor Jackson, he asked that matter 0389 be taken out of order. Would you please read that matter?
Docket number 0389, Councilor Jackson offered the following ordinance, creating a commission on the status of black men and boys in Boston.
Councilor Jackson, you have the floor.
President, and I too want to applaud the sisters who are just up there, who are doing great work. I think it's appropriate that we are also joined by many brothers who support those sisters. Mr. President, today I introduce historic legislation in the city of Boston to create a commission on the status of black men and boys in the city of Boston. I do this not on my own. I do this with a collective of brothers, including Horace Smalls from the Union of Minority Neighbors, Ron Bell from Dunk the Vote, and a group of brothers called the Committed Brothers Network, as well as several others who are present in the room today, and I want to acknowledge them for their support. Mr. President, today is a historic day in the city of Boston, but it marks a historic day in our country, where a young man whose name none of us knew 2 years ago came to the forefront. February 26, 2012 was a day that a boy named Trayvon Martin was killed in Florida. And today we stand here 2 years later with a proposal to form a commission on the status of black men and boys in Boston to address the issues that these young men and not so young men are dealing with. To make these issues not just an issue of the black community, but to raise them, Mr. President, to become an issue of the beloved community, which we all are a part of. The commission is going to be focused on improving the conditions affecting the cultural, social, economic, political, education, judicial, and general health and well-being of black men and black boys in the city of Boston. African American males are twice as likely to drop out of school in the city of Boston and the Boston public schools versus their Asian and white counterparts. They're much more likely to be involved in the criminal justice system. They are much more likely to be a victim of violent crime, and their life expectancy is shorter. We need to refocus our sights on black men and boys to their promise and not merely their problems. The commission will focus its work on putting together a plan that will follow brothers from cradle to career, focused on changing outcomes and focusing on long, healthy lives rather than mortality rates, prison release dates, and recidivism rates. And we will coordinate all city services to help these brothers. The goal is to approach this issue not simply as an issue of the black community, but to view these issues with the urgency and the focus that they deserve. We need to look at the loss of any life in our city as a loss to the future prosperity of the city of Boston. When we view the issues, concerns, and the potential that black men and boys are going through, navigating, and deal with daily, not merely as an issue of the black community, and instead change that view to view them as an issue, a priority and focus of the city of Boston as a whole. And I leave you with a quote of someone who spent a lot of time here in the city of Boston, and that is Frederick Douglass. And he said that it is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. I submit this. I would ask that my colleagues support this. It is time in the city of Boston that we step forward and not merely put patches on problems. We have issues with murders in our city right now today. We have an increase in the number of murders versus last year. And we need to attack that with a prospective, real plan, not reactionary tactics, Mr. President. We need to have a true and real plan where we pull folk together to focus on this. And that is why this proposal is being made today. And I appreciate the opportunity to do this out of order. But I think it is time here in the city of Boston that we focus on this real issue with urgency and with coordination, the coordination that we need at the city level. Thank you so much, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Jackson. Thank you, Councilor Presley.
The maker. This is very important in the same way that we have done our research so that we could target our resources and our energies and our practices in government to combating substance abuse or suicide. This is no different. There is an epidemic happening with our black boys. I commend the maker for this, and it is high time that people recognize that our black boys are capable of much more than pulling a trigger. And their rite of passage should not be limited to our criminal justice system. Their rite of passage from boyhood to manhood. And the young brothers and more seasoned ones that are here today, I thank you for being here and for demonstrating that black boys and men can instill hope and foster peace and head their households and lead in our communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Presley. Councilor Flaherty.
Oh, yes, and please do add my name.
Oh,
In big print. Thank you.
Mr. President, please add my name.
okay. Clerk, would you add the name of Councilor Flaherty, Councilor Presley, Councilor Baker, Councilor Siomo, Councilor LaMattina, Councilor McCarthy, Councilor O'Malley, the clerk, please add the chair's name. Thank you. All councilors have been added to this particular matter. Thank you. And please, applause is just not appropriate for this sort of setting, but we appreciate it. Thank you. This matter, anybody else? No, it was just for that reason. Okay. This matter will be sent to the Committee on Government Ops. Matter 0389. Communications from the mayor.
Docket number 0367, message and order authorizing the Boston Fair Housing Commission to accept and expend a U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development Fair Housing Partnership Program grant in the amount of $150,000 to the Boston Fair Housing Commission to conduct a housing discrimination testing program in partnership with Suffolk University Law School.
Docket 0367 will be assigned to the Committee on Housing.
Docket number, would you like me to read?
Yeah, would you read the next two dockets, please, Madam Clerk?
Docket number 0368, message in order to reduce the FY14 appropriation for the Reserve of Collective Bargaining by $35,790 to provide funding for Inspectional Services Department FY14 salary increases contained within the collective bargaining agreement between the City of Boston and the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers Local 103 of Greater Boston AFL-CIO. Docket number 0369, message and order approving a supplemental appropriation of $35,790 for the Inspectional Services Department FY14 to cover the cost items contained within the collective bargaining agreement between the City of Boston and the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 103 of Greater Boston AFL-CIO IBEW, filed in the Office of the Clerk on February 24th, 2014.
Councilor Siomo.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to ask for suspension and passage of dockets 0368 and 0369. It impacts 9 electrical inspectors with Inspectional Services Department. The appropriation of $35,790 will be taken from the collective bargaining reserve and appropriated to the general fund for FY14. The wage pattern is exactly the same as almost all of the other civilian contracts. The 0, 1, 2, 3, 3, 3, 6-year collective bargaining agreement. There will also be a lump sum taken from the FY11 collective bargaining reserve. This union took a wage delay in FY11 to help our city recover from the recession. So that will be taken from that collective bargaining reserve, which has a balance of $4.6 million. So I ask that the full council suspend and pass this contract. Thank you.
Councilor Siomo asks suspension of the rules and passage of dockets 0368 and 0369. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. The ayes have it. Dockets 068 and 0368 and 0369 have been passed. Madam Clerk? You can read them all. They're all matters of public safety.
Docket number 0370, message and order authorizing the Police Commissioner to accept and expend a $20,467 grant to the fund of FY13 Paul Coverdell National Forensic Science Improvement Program grant funded by the National Institute of Justice and passed through the Massachusetts State Police. Docket number 0371, message and order authorizing the Police Commissioner to accept and expend a grant of $10,000 from Nuestra Comunidad Development Corporation for the purposes of the partnering with Boston Police Department on a community efforts neighborhood revitalization. Funding will help support community program expenses in the area of District B2. Docket number 0372, message and order authorizing the Police Commissioner to accept and expend a grant of $1,000 from Nuestra Comunidad Development Corporation for the purpose of acquiring supplies/equipment needed as a part of the action plan for the community events in Area B2, District 2.
Matters docket 0370, 0371, and 0372 will be placed in the Committee on Public Safety. Reports of public officers and others.
Docket number 0373, communication was received from Lawrence Estacara, KPMG LLP, regarding minutes from previous audit committee meetings.
Madam Clerk, could you please place matter 0373 in the post-audit committee?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Docket number 0374, notice was received from the mayor of the appointment of John J. Walsh as a member of the Public Facilities Commission for a term expiring January 1st, 2018.
That matter be placed on file. Do I need to read the docket? Yes. Sorry. 0374 will be placed on file.
And docket
Madam, 0375 has been withdrawn.
Docket number 0376, notice was received from the mayor of the appointment of Catherine Craven as a member of the Public Facilities Commission for a term expiring January 1st, 2018.
Docket 0376 will be placed on file.
Docket number 0377, notice was received from the mayor of the appointment of John Barros as Chief of Economic Development, effective February 10th, 2014.
Docket 0377 will be placed on file. Could you read the matters 378 through 384, please?
Thank you. Docket number 0378, notice was received from the mayor of the appointment of Amy Ryan as a trustee of the Copley Square Charitable Trust for a term expiring February 14th, 2016. Docket number 0379, notice was received from the mayor of the appointment of Meg Manzer Cohen as the trustee of the Copley Square Charitable Trust for a term expiring February 14th, 2016. Docket number 0380, notice was received from the mayor of the appointment of Francis G. Crosby as a trustee of the Copley Square Charitable Trust for a term expiring February 14th, 2016. Docket number 0381, notice was received from the mayor of the appointment of Mel Schuman as a trustee of the Copley Square Charitable Trust for a term expiring February 14th, 2016. Docket number 0382, notice was received from the mayor of the appointment of Ann B. Texera as a trustee of the Copley Square Charitable Trust for term expiring February 14th, 2016. Docket number 0383, notice was received from the mayor of the appointment of Deborah W. Moses as a trustee of the Copley Square Charitable Trust for term expiring February 14th, 2016. And docket number 0384, notice was received from the mayor of the appointment of Nancy S. Breakley as a trustee of the Copley Square Charitable Trust for a term expiring February 14th, 2016.
Madam Clerk, matters 0378 through 0384 will be placed on file. Reports of committees.
Docket number 0335, Committee on Public Safety, to which was referred on February 12, 2014. Docket number 0335, message and order authorizing the Mayor's Office of Emergency Management to accept and expend a grant of $1,148,877.20 from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, DHS, Regional Catastrophic Preparedness Grant Program, known as RCPGP grant for FY 2011 for the purpose of catastrophic planning within the designated region, including the Boston urban area, Providence urban area, Commonwealth of Massachusetts, State of New Hampshire, and the State of Rhode Island, submits a report recommending the order ought to pass.
Chair recognizes the Chair of the Committee on Public Safety, Councilor Murphy, on docket number 0335.
Mr. President, last Thursday, Council's Committee on Public Safety held a hearing on this particular grant, which authorizes the Mayor of Boston's Office of Emergency Preparedness to accept and expend a grant of almost $1.2 million for regional catastrophic preparedness in the event that we have a major event in this eastern Mass, eastern Rhode Island, eastern New Hampshire area. It's for coordination of services, interoperability of communications. And it's very similar. Years ago, when this was all created through Homeland Security, they created urban area security initiatives. And Boston is Region 1 for the country. This particular grant includes not only Region 1, but the other surrounding regions. So they're preparing for something that's going to be cataclysmic, huge. So much so that any one issue or any one region might be overwhelmed in its own capacity to respond. I bring back the point that last April 15th, we had the issue on Boylston Street with the marathon, and our system worked. For the past 6 or 7 federal fiscal years, they've been passing grants down through the mayor's office for UASI Region 1, for communication interoperability, for interdiscipline interoperability, so that, there are 8 or 9 areas in Region 1, and Boston's police could talk to Cambridge's police, could talk to Watertown's police. All of that was put to the test last April 15th, and it worked. It worked well, as we saw the Boston police capture the marathon bombing suspect out in Watertown. And all of those agencies were communicating, even though they're on different wavelengths, the communication interoperability worked. And this is a cataclysmic scenario that, God forbid, never happens, but we do need to plan for an event like that and plan to have that capability to communicate with people regionally. And that's what this does. Money will go to the mayor's office, and then the 5 different areas will sit and meet and disperse the money and come up with a plan for some cataclysmic event that we hope never happens. I recommend, as chair of the committee, that we pass the money through for preparedness' sake. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Murphy. Councilor Murphy moves acceptance of the committee report and passage of docket 0335. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Docket 0335 has passed. Madam Clerk?
Mr. President, I'll read both 02 and 03.
Please do.
Docket number 0302, the Committee on Ways and Means, to which was referred on February 5th, 2014, docket number 0302, message in order to reduce the FY14 appropriation for reserve for collective bargaining by $548,081 to provide funding for the Boston Public Schools for FY14 costs contained within the collective bargaining agreements between the Boston School Committee and the Administrative Guild, SEIU Local 888, submits a report recommending the message ought to pass. Docket number 0303, the Committee on Ways and Means, to which was referred on February 5th, 2014, docket number 0303, message in order approving a supplemental appropriation of $548,081 for the Boston Public Schools for FY14 to cover the cost items contained within the collective bargaining agreements between the Boston School Committee and the Administrative Guild, SEIU Local 888, submits a report recommending the order ought to pass.
Our chair recognizes the chair of Committee on Ways and Means, Councilor Siomo, on docket 0302 and 0303.
The Boston School Committee approved this agreement back on January 29th. The City of Boston and the School Department are requesting funds from the Collective Bargaining Reserve to cover the FY14 supplemental appropriation of $548,081. Dockets 0302 and 0303 were referred to the Committee on Ways and Means on February 5th. Hearing was held on February 19th. the CFO for the City of Boston, Meredith Wienick, and Joe Bevington from the labor staff of the school department came to testify. This agreement, once again, is a similar wage pattern and policy changes. There are a couple of specific policy changes that pertain to the Guild, such as modified early release times in the summer, as well as a side agreement on changing the way they are evaluated. The current collective bargaining reserves balance at this time stand at approximately $4.6 million for FY11, $11.7 million for FY12. FY13 has a balance of $19.7 million, and FY14 has a balance of $24.7 million. I recommend that we accept the committee report and pass this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Siomo. Councilor Yancey.
Mr. President, unfortunately, I was unable to attend that hearing, but I rise in support of the chair's recommendation. I did have a question about balances, which obviously he just answered. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor Yancey. Councilor Siomo moves acceptance of the committee report and passage of dockets 0303 and 0302. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Docket 0303 and 0302 have been passed. Matters recently heard for possible action.
Docket number 0135, message and order authorizing the Mayor's Office of New Bostonians to accept and expend a grant of $200,000 from contributions received from individuals, organizations, and local and private businesses for the purpose of funding the English for New Bostonians initiative.
The chair recognizes the chair of the Committee on Human Rights and Civil Rights, Councilor Zakim.
Was held by yesterday morning, during which we heard from Alejandra Sanguillen, the director of the Mayor's Office of New Bostonians, to explain this grant, which will go towards funding community and neighborhood-based English language classes for New Bostonians, making sure that individuals have an opportunity who might not always be available, folks who work different hours and who are not always able to get to more of our standard schools, providing the very necessary community-based learning to make sure people have access to English language classes and are able to participate in the civic, cultural, and political life of our city and our nation. So this $200,000 was raised at a fundraiser event the previous year and is going to support this program, and I recommend adoption and passage of this docket 0135. Thank you.
Before we do that, we should recognize Congratulations, Councilor Zakim. It took me 3 months to do mine. Councilor Zakim moves acceptance of the committee report and passage of docket 0315. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Docket 0315 has been passed. Motions, orders, and resolutions.
Docket number 0385, Councilor Presley offered the following order requesting certain information under 17F regarding lists of fines, suspensions, or disciplinary actions against restaurants, lounges, clubs, or bars in the City of Boston between 2019 and 2013.
Councilor Presley.
Thank you, Mr. President. Throughout my 2-year sort of listening tour and prep work before I put forth my home rule petition on liquor license reform, there are many things that I was elucidated to and learned throughout the process that were creating barriers in terms of people not only purchasing and procuring a liquor license, but also retaining it. And what we heard from a number of LGBT groups who were looking to host queer events or urban venues or venues who host urban events, that there did seem to be discrepancy in who is fined who is considered having some level of violation or infraction, and whether or not there is a standard for when people have their license pulled back. And so I've put forth this 17F, understanding that the best policy is influenced by data, and I would like the data to see if these compelling personal testimonies that I've heard throughout the last 4 years, and if there is any consistencies and truth to this sort of theory. So that is the purpose of the 17F. Thank you.
Do you move suspension and passage of this matter?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. I've had too much coffee or not enough. Yes. Thank you, Mr. President, for taking the words right out of my mouth.
Councilor Presley moves suspension and passage of matter 0385. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Docket 0385 has been passed.
Docket number 0386, Councilor Wu offered the following order for hearing regarding small business permitting and licensing reform.
Chair recognizes City Councilor Wu on docket matter 0386.
Esteemed colleagues and guests, think about your favorite experiences in neighborhoods across the city, and odds are small businesses will be included in some piece of that, right? That favorite special restaurant that you go to, or the convenience store owner that knows everybody's name in the neighborhood. It's because our Boston businesses are special, but it's also because small businesses are our strength in Boston. And in fact, the Boston metro area has over 120,000 small businesses, nearly 3/4 of which are micro businesses that have between 1 and 9 employees. These small businesses drive our economy. They make our neighborhoods safer and more active, and they bring people together. Entrepreneurs pour their hearts into designing these business concepts, devoting their time, their energy, their money. And as a former tea shop owner, I remember how lovingly you think about every little detail. You think about how you envision your business contributing to the fabric of the community, and how opening up a retail storefront really means welcoming in the entire neighborhood. But too often I've spoken with small business owners who, when asked what it was like to open up for business in Boston, their first response was a groan. A groan, and then many choice words about the permitting process in our city. The delays, the time and the money lost, the complications, the frustrations. These are costs that many business owners can't bear, time and money lost at great professional and personal risk. And even more heartbreaking are the conversations with those who could have been Boston business owners, but couldn't hang on through the permitting process and instead chose to open up somewhere else or gave up the idea altogether. Now, to truly streamline business permitting in Boston, we need to take action on several different fronts. First is looking at the external legal structure. What are the laws on the books? What are the requirements that define our permitting system? Second is examining our internal city processes and how we can make them faster and more accessible to everyone. And third is outreach and education to make sure that entrepreneurs are prepared for the process before they begin and that they get help navigating it once they start. This hearing order addresses the first of those areas, looking toward an examination of the laws. What permits and licenses now exist? How relevant are they today? And where might consolidation or even elimination make sense? A quick scan through Chapter 18 of the Boston Municipal Code evokes another era. The hawkers and peddlers license, $150. The common victualer's license, $100. The itinerant musician's license, $10 for an individual, $5 for a group, bargain price. And then there are the surprisingly specific licenses, $100 for the breaking and canning of eggs, $30 to serve milk or cream, $200 for a fortune-telling license. Now, all these permits are designed to protect the public's health and safety so that our food is sanitary, our buildings are safe, and nobody is taken advantage of by duplicitous fortune tellers. But we can balance that very important public protection with the need for clear, predictable rules. In a complicated system, some businesses still do open, and they do well, but this often depends on hiring consultants or lawyers to guide you through the process. Those first-time business owners without the resources to bring help on board or immigrant communities with language barriers often fall through the cracks. We can and should celebrate and respect Boston's history while moving our permitting system forward into the 21st century and making it accessible for business owners of all backgrounds. We owe it to our small businesses and our residents to make it easier and faster to open for business in neighborhoods across the city, to help create vibrant small business districts in every neighborhood. So I say it's time to make some big strides for small businesses in Boston. Thank you all.
Congratulations, Councilor Wu, on your maiden speech. Councilor Flaherty, I saw that your light was lit.
Please add my name, Mr. President.
I was going to say, Councilor Flaherty, you had your maiden speech decades ago. Please add Councilor Flaherty's name, Councilor Baker, Councilor Siomo, Councilor Lamartine.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to take this opportunity to commend the maker of this bill and ask that my name be added. Served on the council for over 7 years, I share the frustration of many small businesses in the city of Boston. Going through that process, some people could take a few months, others it could take a year. And some of my frustrations, you have these business owners finally go through the whole process and they're ready to have a grand opening, only to find out that they can't have that grand opening that night because the materials on their chairs did not go to the fire department for inspection. So I think this is great. I think that there needs to be a process that all business owners go through that is clear, so they don't come out at the end of the whole process that they don't get a surprise that they can't have their grand opening because their chairs were not inspected by the fire department. So I want to commend the maker and look forward to your hearing.
And you'd like to add your name?
And I would love to add my name on this. Thank you.
Councilor McCarthy?
I also rise to commend the maker, Councilor Wu. In my previous position in Public Works, I was on the Food Truck Initiative Committee, and even though the Food Truck Initiative Committee was all internal, it was also difficult to help the food trucks through the giant process of getting a permit, whether it was the fire department at 1010 or 1010 itself, transportation, public works. There's a lot of moving parts there. I commend Councilor Wu on writing this. It does need to be done, and I would like to add my name to the docket.
Councilor O'Malley, thank you, Councilor McCarthy. Councilor O'Malley would like to add his name. Councilor Yancey add his name, and Councilor Murphy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to Councilor Wu. As a large candidate last year, Councilor Wu championed this issue across the city, and it's nice to see that she is walking the walk right now. She talked about her passion to redo all of these permits and the permitting process and have it streamlined and more effective and more business friendly. And now she's beginning the journey here as a member of the council. I commend her, and I want to add my name. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Presley.
Echoing the good words of our colleague here on the campaign trail, you said permitting was your crusade. We're happy and in no way surprised to see you fulfilling that which you campaigned so tirelessly on. And I do agree with you. It's time that we make some big strides in the name of small business. So well done, and I wish to add my name.
Please add Councilor Presley's name. Councilor Jackson.
Mr. President, I rise to commend the maker. This issue is one that might, for some, seem wonky to them, but when it comes down to it, without a permit, you can't build anything in the city of Boston. And so without that permit, there's people who are on benches all throughout the city who can't work. We have 44 million square feet that's permitted right now in the city of Boston, but we don't reel in those jobs until things are able to move forward. Again, sadly, much of this is based on our internal function. It's not necessarily the actual permits. And there's other cities throughout the country, Mr. President, that actually have things that are done on these new, amazing things that some folks might have heard of, computers. And so we should have a lot of this move towards an online front. But the actual aspects of it that we have to change are really in the back end and how we do things with our human resources in the back end. I look forward to tracking this, and again, good luck and a lot of props for bringing this forward. And please add my name.
Please add Councilor Jackson's name, and please add my name. Madam Clerk, thank you. Docket 0386 will be referred to the Special Committee on Small Business, Entrepreneur, and Innovation.
Docket number 0387, Councilor Wu offered the following order for a hearing regarding arts and culture funding in the City of Boston.
Chair recognizes City Councilor Wu on docket 0387.
Hearing order to look at how we maximize the impact of city funding for arts and culture in Boston. In addition to the Mayor's Office of Arts and Tourism, the Boston Cultural Council currently distributes funding from the city that they receive from the Mass Cultural Council. They give it out to two sources: grants to arts and culture organizations and paying for field trips for students to attend arts shows and performances. Mayor Walsh has already shown himself to be a champion for the arts and culture community, the creative community in Boston, by taking a number of actions, having very robust series of hearings and soliciting feedback, and also committing to an additional line item in the city budget for arts and culture funding. So as the budget season approaches, just wanted to make sure we are having the conversation on how to spend any additional funding that is distributed for arts and culture. Questions like how much should be spent on city programs versus external grants? What types of recipients should we target for grants? A quick comparison of other cities shows that cities like Nashville, for example, give their funding to after-school arts and culture programming, and that's one of their focus areas. Pittsburgh offers not just one-year grants, but multi-year opportunities and contract opportunities. Chicago gives grants not just to organizations, but individual artists, too. So we all know that Boston is really teeming with creative energy. Looking forward to many of these ideas, and just want to make sure that arts funding distribution is on the table, too.
Thank you, Councilor Wu. Councilor Flaherty. Please add Councilor Flaherty's name to that. And please add my name. Oh, I'm sorry. Councilor Siomo. Add Councilor Siomo's name. Councilor LaMartina. Councilor McCarthy. Councilor Murphy. Councilor O'Malley. Councilor Zager.
Docket number 0388, Councilor Wu offered the following resolution in support of Domestic Workers' Bill of Rights.
Chair recognizes City Councilor Wu on docket 0388.
This one is a resolution that some people in the room have worked very hard on, the Massachusetts Coalition for Domestic Workers, and it's a resolution in support of the Domestic Workers' Bill of Rights up at the state legislature, House Bill number 3884, sponsored by Representative Mike Moran and Senator Anthony Petrocelli, which would extend basic workplace protections to domestic workers in the Commonwealth. Domestic workers are absolutely vital to our economy, with other workers and residents depending on them for services like house cleaning, being nannies, and personal care attendants to take care of our loved ones and their homes. Today, the Commonwealth has over 60,000 domestic workers. It's actually over 100,000 if you include personal care attendants. And nationwide, there are 2.5 million domestic workers. So it's a growing industry that can't be outsourced. It can't be done overseas. But it continues to grow here without standards and without basic labor protections, because this group of workers has historically been excluded from many basic state and federal labor rights due to outdated thinking about work that's done in people's homes. So the Domestic Workers' Bill of Rights provides protections to ensure safe and dignified working conditions for these workers, including 24 hours off per 7-day calendar week, parental leave, protection from discrimination and sexual harassment, and termination rights for live-in nannies so that they wouldn't become immediately homeless. And this is a type of exploitation that many of these domestic workers are very vulnerable to. The bill excludes casual babysitters and doesn't impose additional tax or workers' comp burdens on employers above what already exists. and the trigger is working 16 hours per week for someone in their home. Now, the lead sponsors have secured co-sponsorship from 83 state legislators, and it's been endorsed by 60 organizations, including the Brazilian Immigrant Center, the ACLU, the Immigrant Worker Center Collaborative, MIRA, SEIU 1199, 32 BJ 615, 888, the Greater Boston Central Labor Council, and others. So I just ask that the Boston City Council join these efforts and lend our voice to supporting the Domestic Workers' Bill of Rights. And I would ask for suspension and passage after my colleagues who wish to speak do so.
All right. So at this time, Councilor Wu requests suspension and adoption of docket. I see a light. Excuse me. Oh, okay. Councilor Baker would like to sign his name on. Councilor Murphy, Councilor McCarthy, Councilor LaMartina, Councilor Jackson, Councilor Flaherty, Councilor Siomo, Councilor O'Malley, Councilor Presley, Councilor Yancey, and Councilor Zachem. And please sign my name, add my name to it. Thank you. At this time, Councilor Wu. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, did you want to speak? Okay, I did mention your name. Please add Councilor Presley's name to the matter. You're all trying to trick me. At this time, Councilor Wu asks for suspension and adoption of docket 0388. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and docket 0388 is adopted. On the previous matter, I didn't assign it to a committee, so docket 0387 will be assigned to the committee on, is that right? Arts and Culture. Yep. Thank you. Personnel orders.
Docket number 0390, Council Linehan for Councilor Jackson.
And Councilor Jackson moves suspension of the rules and passage of docket 0390. All those in favor say aye. All opposed? No. The ayes have it. Docket 0390 has passed. Madam Clerk, just a quick recess. Thank you. Yeah, sure. You want to pull this late file? Late files? I'm informed at this time by the clerk that there is one late file matter which, in the absence of objection, will be added to the agenda. Hearing no objection, the matter has so been added. The clerk will read the only late file matter.
The Office of the Mayor, Martin J. Walsh, to the City Council. Dear Councilors, I hereby withdraw docket number 0375, originally filed with the clerk on February 11th, 2014. Sincerely, Martin J. Walsh, Mayor of Boston.
That matter will be placed on file. Additions to the consent agenda. There are 5 late file matters which, in absence of objection, will be added to the consent agenda. Hearing no objections, the matters hold on. At this time, Councilor Zachem would like to address his late file matter and resolution.
Colleagues have received the resolution relating to the Senate Bill 1062, which is before the governor of Arizona right now, which, in my opinion, would be very discriminatory and Jim Crow-like law that has no place in the United States right now. Boston has long been a leader on issues of social justice, especially regarding LGBT rights, marriage equality in the last decade and longer. And I believe it's very important that the Boston City Council and our city add our voice to this debate to stand up and say this is unacceptable in the year 2014 in the United States of America, that a law like this is potentially going to be passed and enacted in the state of Arizona. I would ask that the clerk read the resolution in its entirety and then move for suspension and adoption. Thank you.
Madam Clerk.
City of Boston in City Council, resolution of Councilor Josh Zakem. Whereas basic concepts of human and civil rights demand that the United States of America and around the world, discrimination based on others' religion, racial background, sexual orientation, age, or gender is inherently wrong. And whereas on February 20th, 2014, the state legislature of Arizona passed SB 1062, which Arizona Governor Jan Brewer has not yet signed into law. And whereas, if enacted, SB 1062 would allow individuals and corporations in Arizona to freely discriminate against other Arizonians who do not share their religious beliefs. Whereas SB 1062 directly targets the community of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender Arizonians who are already denied protection under Arizona's public accommodation law. And whereas religious freedom is a cornerstone of our nation's democratic values that protect our individual rights, but does not grant us permission to oppress others. And whereas the City of Boston prides itself as a place where discrimination is intolerable and where people of all backgrounds, colors, beliefs, and lifestyles are sincerely respected and enthusiastically welcomed. Therefore, be it resolved that the members of the Boston City Council in meeting assembled do hereby urge Governor Brewer to stand up for human rights, equality, and decency by voting SB 1062, by vetoing SB 1062, and be it further resolved that the Boston City Council calls on other communities, jurisdictions, and individuals to join us in the action by passing similar resolutions and directly contacting Governor Brewer's office. Offered by Councilor Josh Zakem.
Councilor Zakem moves to adopt the late file matter. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The matter has been adopted. Anyone wishing to remove any matters from the green sheets may do this at this time. Councilor Sioma.
Thank you, Mr. President. On page 2 of the green sheets assigned for further action, I'm calling for a second vote on docket 0241.
Yeah, please read the matter.
Assigned for further action on 2/12/14, message and order amending an appropriation order of $29,085,000 for the purpose of landfill areas.
Councilor Sioma.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Chair of Environment and Parks, Councilor O'Malley, and I had a hearing on 2 dockets. One of them was to apply for a grant that would give the city an ability to get low or no interest loans for this project and complete the next phase of Millennium Park. Docket 0241 has a very lengthy history. It is a loan order that was first appropriated back in 1994. It closed a landfill and developed Millennium Park in West Roxbury. This current increase that we're asking for in this loan order in the amount of $5,674,000 is to fund aspects of the project in order to make make eligible for the city to apply and these low-interest loans, and to enable the building of the new athletic fields on Millennium Park. I ask that we take the second vote in the affirmative, and I want to allow Councilor O'Malley to speak on this issue as well. Thank you.
I have lights flashing. Are they all on this matter versus green sheets in general? Okay. So, Councilor O'Malley.
I wanted to rise and thank my good colleague and friend from District 9, the chair of the Ways and Means Committee, and thank all of you. This passed unanimously with a roll call vote 2 weeks ago. We obviously have to take a second vote. And once again, this is just going to really set one of the best outdoor spaces that we have in the city of Boston, Millennium Park, what was once a landfill in the not-too-distant history. About 15, 20 years ago, it was capped, it was built. Former Mayor Menino deserves tremendous credit. Our current Mayor, Marty Walsh, deserves tremendous credit for continuing and bringing it to the next step. It's going to put in a turf football field, a running track, basketball courts, tennis courts, a baseball and softball diamond, and I invite you all, should this go through today and be funded, to join me at the grand opening of Phase 2 of Millennium Park, hopefully not too long from now. And thank you all. Thank you again, Mr. Chairman, Mr. President, for the opportunity to speak on this.
Thank you, Councilor O'Malley. Councilor Yancey.
Encouraging expeditious passage and the second reading. Thank you very much.
Any other lights flashing here? Nope. Okay. Councilor Siomo moves passage of docket 0241. Madam Clerk, please call the roll. Oh, Councilor Flaherty, did you? Okay, I'm sorry.
Councilor Baker?
Yes.
Councilor Baker, yes. Councilor Siomo?
Yes.
Councilor Siomo, yes. Councilor Flaherty?
Yes.
Councilor Flaherty, yes. Councilor Jackson? Yes. Councilor Jackson, yes. Councilor LaMartina? Yes. Councilor LaMartina, yes. Councilor Linehan?
Yes.
Councilor Linehan, yes. Councilor McCarthy? Councilor McCarthy, yes. Councilor Murphy? Councilor Murphy, yes. Councilor O'Malley? Oh, yes. Councilor O'Malley, oh, yes. Councilor Presley? Councilor Presley, yes. Councilor Wu? Councilor Wu, yes. Councilor Yancey? Councilor Yancey, yes. Councilor Zachem? Councilor Zachem. We have a unanimous vote, Mr. President. Docket number 0241 has received a second reading.
I've been informed by the clerk that that we've received a unanimous vote on docket 0241 and has received its second reading. Councilor Flaherty, for what purpose do you rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. Rise to pull from the Green Sheets Government Operations Committee docket 0336 and ask that the clerk call the roll. That's on page 3 of 7, docket 0336.
Madam Clerk.
In the Committee on Government Operations, docket number 0336, sponsored by the Mayor, message and order for confirmation of appointment of Eugene L. O'Flaherty, Corporation Counsel of the City, as the liaison to the State Ethics Commission.
Madam Clerk, may you poll the committee of the Government Ops Committee?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Councilor Flaherty.
Yes.
Councilor Flaherty, yes. Councilor Jackson. Councilor Jackson, yes. Councilor LaMartina. Councilor LaMartina, yes. Councilor McCarthy. Yes. Councilor McCarthy, yes. Councilor O'Malley. Councilor O'Malley, yes. Councilor Presley. Councilor Presley, yes. And Councilor Wu. Councilor Wu. We have unanimous consent of the committee.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, and thank you, Mr. President. Fairly self-explanatory. In pro forma, we, as a city, are afforded a seat, a liaison seat to the State Ethics Commission, and in years past, it's been our Corporation Counsel. Our outgoing Corporation Counsel, Bill Sennett, served in that seat, and now our new Corporation Counsel, Eugene O'Flaherty, also known as Gene O'Flaherty, will be serving in that position. So we're sitting in our committee. We're holding him up from performing his function on our behalf and just move for suspension and passage at this time. Thank you.
Great. Madam Clerk, could I have that number again?
Docket number 03.
Councilor Flaherty, at this time, moves for suspension and passage of docket 0336. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Docket 0336 has been passed. Consent agenda? Did we finish? We just did the one. There are 4 other late matters which, in absence of objection, will be added to the consent agenda. Seeing here and hearing no objection, the matters are added. The chair moves for adoption of the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The consent agenda has been adopted. At this time, I'd like to ask all guests and all members to rise as the council prepares to adjourn. Oh, I'm sorry. Councilor, I'm sorry. Please take your seats. Councilor Yancey, for what purpose do you rise?
Unanimous consent to make a brief statement.
No objections?
Thank you very much.
the
I'm going to have to get a brighter light for your podium, Mr. President. As most of you know, tomorrow at noon, Councilor Presley, Councilor Jackson, and myself will be hosting the Black History Month celebration on behalf of the City Council. Boston, as all of us are well aware, is a very historic city. Before this nation was founded, there was a young man who was deemed a troublemaker and summarily executed in front of the old State House, along with 4 other individuals. His name was Crispus Attucks, an African-American, first to die, I believe, for the birth of the United States of America, right here, no less than a block away from where we speak. Frederick Douglass, the great abolitionist, W.B. Du Bois, the great intellectual and scholar and one of the founders of the NAACP, spent a lot of time in Boston. William Monroe Trotter fought against discrimination. Shirley Chisholm, in her run for mayor of Boston, something not quite as important, in her run as for president of the United States, came to Boston in 1972 for that historic campaign. And while I'm speaking about presidents, it was right here in the great city of Boston. A young man from Illinois gave a keynote speech in 2004. And of course, I'm referring to Barack Obama. He got his start for president right here in the city of Boston. Mr. President, there are also some scientists like Lewis Latimer who worked with Edison to invent the filament for our light bulbs. One of the individuals who gave his life during the Challenger explosion is an astronaut by the name of Ron McNair, who taught many of Boston's children jazz and martial arts right here in the great city of Boston. Over the last 65 years, there have been 9 African Americans who served on the Boston City Council. Lawrence Banks was first elected in 1949. He was not allowed to assume his seat until 1951, August of 1951. In 1967, Thomas Atkins was elected to the City Council. In 1981, Bruce Bowling. Yours truly in 83. Anthony Creighton was elected in 1993. Garrett Saunders was elected in 1995. Chuck Turner was elected in 1999. An historic first for the city of Boston, Ayanna Pressley was the first African-American female ever elected to this body. And our most recent addition of African-American City Councilor Tito Jackson was elected in 2011. I just want every member of the Boston City Council to celebrate Black History Month, to join us tomorrow afternoon and to spread the word that the City of Boston values the contributions of all Bostonians, whatever ethnicity, whatever race, whatever gender or preference. We all make this city great. And we want to celebrate that this month, especially for African Americans, and in the future months for all the other ethnicities that contribute to a high quality of life and dedication and a legacy of struggling for human rights for everyone all around the world. Because it was on June 23rd, 1990, that Nelson Mandela told me that one of the reasons he came to the city of Boston was because the position that this body took in 1984 against the apartheid regime in South Africa when he was serving a life sentence, and anyone who would have suggested that Nelson Mandela would have been released from jail, not to mention become president of his country, anyone who would even suggest that that was going to happen back in 1984 would have been immediately committed to an insane asylum. So I am very proud of this city and very proud of the contributions of everyone and look forward to a great celebration tomorrow at noontime right here in these chambers. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor Yancey. Thank you for that announcement. And the chamber will host that event at 12 o'clock tomorrow. At this time, I'd ask all guests and all members to please rise as the council prepares to adjourn today's meeting in memory of the following individuals. For Councilor Siomo, Nora Duffy Devlin, Nihilus Mackey Jr., Mary Marquez, and Kathleen Rosenbaugh. For Councilor Lamartina, Gerald Christie Christopher, and Catherine Oliveri. For the chair, Andrew Papa Pano. For Councilor O'Malley, John W. Chan. And for Councilor Yancey, Jan Marcos Pena. A moment of silence, please. Thank you. At this time, the chair moves that when the council adjourns today, it does so in memory of the aforementioned individuals, and it is scheduled to meet again on Wednesday, March 5th, 2013 at 12 o'clock noon. All in favor of adjournment, say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The council is adjourned.